Henderson police raid the headquarters of the Hells Angels motorcycle gang in Las Vegas early Wednesday. Las Vegas Police Lieutenant Joey Herring confirmed that police were executing a search warrant at the building in the 1500 block of East Bonanza Road near Maryland Parkway. The shooting on U.S. Highway 95 led to the recent indictment of 66-year-old Richard DeVries, 26-year-old Russell Smith, and 46-year-old Steve.
4 from our 8 News Now investigators, 8 members and prospects of the Las Vegas Hells Angels chapter facing more charges connected to the shooting on U.S. 95 in Henderson last May. 6 people were injured in that shooting. All 8 men now are facing racketeering charges. They are in the process, we're told, of being arrested. We will get you more information as we gather it.
May 29th, 2022, Memorial Day weekend. A peaceful veterans ceremony turns into a highway war zone. 7 people shot. Multiple bullet casings scattered across a mile of freeway. Within hours, 3 arrests. 1 month later, SWAT teams ram through the gates of a fortified clubhouse in East Las Vegas. Flash bangs explode. The raid makes national headlines. This is the true story of how a deadly ambush on Interstate 95 triggered one of the biggest police operations against an outlaw motorcycle club in Nevada history.
Elsewhere, Metro raided the clubhouse belonging to the motorcycle gang Hells Angels in East Las Vegas today, and police say they served a search warrant as they continue investigating that freeway shootout which happened on US 95 over Memorial Day weekend. The chapter's president and 2 prospects were indicted by a Clark County grand jury earlier this month. They face 36 felony charges, including attempted murder.
Main content begins. The morning started like any other Memorial Day weekend in the Las Vegas area. Hundreds of motorcyclists gathered at Hoover Dam for an organized ride called Flags Over Dam, a tradition meant to honor fallen veterans. Among the riders were members of the Vagos Motorcycle Club, a group the U.S. Department of Justice classifies as an outlaw motorcycle gang with a documented history of violence. What the Vagos members didn't know was that they were being watched. 5 motorcycle riders wearing different colors had been circling the gathering point since early morning. According to Henderson Police Department arrest reports, these were prospects for the Hells Angels, individuals seeking full membership in one of America's most notorious motorcycle clubs. The Vagos riders proceeded from Hoover Dam to the Southern Nevada Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Boulder City. It should have been a solemn occasion to pay respects to those who served. Instead, tensions escalated immediately. Witnesses at the cemetery reported seeing the same 5 Hells Angels prospects riding through the grounds during the memorial service. Their engines revved loudly, disrupting the ceremony. One anonymous witness told investigators that her husband noticed the Hells Angels prospects immediately. The atmosphere shifted from respectful remembrance to palpable anxiety. They left the ceremony as quickly as possible because the situation felt dangerous. The Hells Angels prospects departed the cemetery approximately 15 to 20 minutes before the Vagos members finished their tribute and began their journey back toward Las Vegas. What happened next would shock the Las Vegas community and make national news. The Vagos riders traveled northbound on US Highway 95, riding in formation side by side in the left lane. As they passed Wagon Wheel Drive, multiple Hells Angels riders suddenly approached from the middle and right lanes. According to Henderson police arrest reports, the Hells Angels riders pulled alongside the Vagos formation and immediately began attacking. Some Hells Angels members started kicking at the Vagos riders, attempting to knock them off their motorcycles onto the moving freeway. At highway speeds, such an attack could easily prove fatal. Then the situation became even more violent. An anonymous witness driving northbound from Boulder City to Henderson provided critical video evidence to police. The footage showed a patched Hells Angels member and 3 prospects riding around the Vagos formation. One rider appeared to be holding an object in his hand. The witness who recorded the video told 911 dispatchers they had seen multiple Hells Angels riders parked on the side of the freeway earlier, appearing to wait for something. It was an ambush. Moments later, one of the Hells Angels riders stood up on his motorcycle and opened fire. The gunfire erupted at approximately 11:50 a.m. on May 29, 2022. Multiple gunshots echoed across the highway as vehicles swerved to avoid the chaos. The Henderson police investigation revealed that bullets struck at least 4 motorcycles. Officers later found 25 spent bullet casings scattered along more than a mile of freeway, stretching from the College Drive exit ramp to the Horizon Drive exit ramp. 6 Vagos members sustained injuries in the attack. Police identified them as Alejandro Castillo, Ricardo Velasquez, Kari Chapin, Michael Stasievich, Michael Lempart, and Chad Merrill. 2 victims arrived at local hospitals in critical condition with life-threatening wounds. 4 others suffered serious but survivable injuries. A 7th person, later identified as having Hells Angels connections, also showed up at a hospital with injuries. The freeway remained closed for more than 5 hours as investigators from multiple agencies worked the massive crime scene. Henderson police led the investigation with assistance from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Boulder City Police, and the Nevada Highway Patrol. Investigators moved quickly. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's Criminal Intelligence Section provided crucial information about the suspects. Officers obtained surveillance footage from a coffee shop in Boulder City called Coffee Cup Cafe. The video showed multiple Hells Angels members at the location earlier that morning. Police also secured dashboard camera footage from a Boulder City police vehicle that captured additional evidence. Cell phone GPS data proved critical. The digital records placed all 3 primary suspects together on US 95 at the precise time and location of the shooting. Late on May 29th, just hours after the highway ambush, Henderson police arrested 3 men. Richard Rizzo DeVries, 66 years old, was identified as the president of the Las Vegas chapter of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Stephen Alo, 46, and Russell Smith, 26, were both identified as Hells Angels prospects. All 3 men faced serious charges: 6 counts each of attempted murder with a deadly weapon, 6 counts of battery with use of a deadly weapon causing substantial bodily harm, 6 counts of discharging a firearm at or into an occupied structure or vehicle, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder with a deadly weapon. Each charge included criminal gang enhancements. The arrests made headlines across Nevada and nationally. Steve Cook, executive director of the Midwest Outlaw Motorcycle Gang Investigators Association, told reporters that the Hells Angels and Vagos have maintained a long-standing violent feud. Cook suggested the Angels may have seen an opportunity for violence and decided to act on it. The 3 suspects were initially held on $380,000 bail each. However, in a controversial decision, a judge later reduced their bail to just $75,000 bond each. DeVries, Alo, and Smith posted bail and were released from custody pending trial. On June 10, 2022, a Clark County grand jury returned an indictment against the 3 men. The formal charges moved the case forward in the criminal justice system. Then came the raid that shocked Las Vegas. On Wednesday morning, June 29, 2022, exactly 1 month after the highway shooting, residents near East Bonanza Road and Maryland Parkway in Las Vegas were awakened by sounds they initially mistook for fireworks. A neighbor who identified himself only as Belinium told reporters he looked outside his window and saw a massive police presence. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's SWAT team had surrounded the Hells Angels Clubhouse, a fortified building in the 1500 block of East Bonanza Road. Belinium described watching as SWAT officers rammed the entry gate off its hinges. Flashbang grenades exploded as the tactical team breached the property. The coordinated assault involved dozens of heavily armed officers wearing tactical gear. Las Vegas Police Lieutenant Joey Herring stood outside the clubhouse as the operation unfolded. He confirmed to reporters that police were executing a search warrant as part of the ongoing investigation into the violent shooting on US 95. Herring declined to provide specifics about what evidence officers were seeking or what they ultimately seized. The raid represented a significant escalation. Police had already arrested the 3 primary suspects weeks earlier. The decision to conduct such a dramatic operation at the clubhouse suggested investigators believed additional evidence or potentially other suspects might be found inside. Former Detective Phil De Palma explained that such raids are typically conducted to find additional suspects or gather more evidence. He noted that detectives working major cases will continue investigating until no more evidence exists to pursue. As the investigation continued, prosecutors expanded their case. By October 2022, the grand jury had indicted 4 additional suspects: Cameron Treisch, Taylor Rodriguez, Aaron Chun, and Rayon Molasco. According to court documents, Treisch and Rodriguez were identified as full-patch members of the Hells Angels. Chun was listed as another prospect, while Molasco was described as an associate or hang-around. The expanded indictment brought racketeering charges and criminal gang enhancements. The gang enhancements were particularly significant because they would substantially increase potential prison sentences if the defendants were convicted. However, the case faced a major setback. Clark County District Court Judge Tiara Jones reviewed the evidence presented to the grand jury. In May 2023, she made a controversial ruling that stunned prosecutors. Judge Jones dismissed the racketeering and gang enhancement charges against all 7 defendants. She also reduced the number of shooting counts from 25 down to just 5. Judge Jones stated that the indictment lacked specificity. She wrote that it didn't clearly identify which defendant engaged in which criminal activities. The judge also found that prosecutors had failed to prove the Hells Angels, as an organization, commonly engaged in criminal activity sufficient to qualify as a criminal gang under Nevada law. Defense attorneys celebrated the ruling. Richard Schoenfeld, representing DeVries, told reporters he was pleased the judge granted important aspects of his motion. He pointed out that prosecutors never presented exculpatory evidence to the grand jury, including the fact that one person with Hells Angels connections had been shot, and that some Vagos members had firearms with them at the scene. The defendants still face serious charges, including attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, battery, and assault with weapons. Each count of attempted murder with a deadly weapon carried a potential sentence of up to 40 years in prison. Judge Jones scheduled trial for May 28, 2024, almost exactly 2 years after the shooting occurred. The 7 defendants remained free on bail as they awaited their day in court, but prosecutors weren't giving up. They appealed Judge Jones's decision to dismiss the gang enhancements to the Nevada Supreme Court. The appeal centered on a crucial legal question. Did sufficient evidence exist to classify the Hells Angels as a criminal gang under Nevada law? On December 26, 2024, the Nevada Supreme Court issued a unanimous decision that reversed Judge Jones's ruling. The 7-justice panel found that prosecutors had presented sufficient evidence to the grand jury to support probable cause that the Hells Angels commonly engaged in felonious activity, and therefore qualified as a criminal gang. During the grand jury proceedings, prosecutors had called Officer John Woosnam of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department as an expert witness. Woosnam had specialized in investigating outlaw motorcycle gangs throughout his career. He testified extensively about the Hells Angels' organizational structure, policies, and history of violence. Woosnam explained that when Hells Angels members encounter rival clubs, officers or full members may issue orders to attack. All members present are expected to participate in the violence if they're in a position to do so. The officer provided a detailed timeline of confrontations between the Hells Angels and Vagos in Nevada and neighboring states. This testimony included accounts of 2 stabbings, 1 fatal, numerous shootings, firing weapons in a crowded casino, severe beatings, and pistol whippings. Woosnam also detailed 30 additional federal and state felony convictions of Hells Angels members, many involving violence against other motorcycle clubs. Court records supporting this testimony were admitted as grand jury exhibits. The defense had argued this evidence shouldn't be considered because it involved Hells Angels members outside the Las Vegas chapter. They noted that the Las Vegas chapter had only 8 members at the time of the shooting. The Nevada Supreme Court rejected this argument. Justice Christina Pickering, writing for the unanimous court, explained that Nevada law doesn't set geographic boundaries when defining a criminal gang. The court found that Officer Woosnam's testimony about nationwide Hells Angels criminal activity was relevant because it demonstrated the broader organization's patterns and practices. In their written opinion, the justices stated, "We conclude that this was an error because the state presented at least slight or marginal evidence to support a reasonable inference that Hells Angels members commonly engage in felony-level violence directed at rival motorcycle clubs, such that that group constitutes a criminal gang. The Supreme Court reversed Judge Jones's orders and remanded the case back to district court with instructions to reinstate the gang enhancements. This meant all 7 defendants would face the enhanced charges again, significantly increasing their potential prison time if convicted. As of the Supreme Court's December 2024 ruling, a new trial date had not yet been scheduled. The 7 defendants, Richard DeVries, Russell Smith, Stephen Alo, Cameron Treisch, Taylor Rodriguez, Aaron Chun, and Rayanne Malazgo, remained free on bail, but now face the restored gang enhancement charges. The Memorial Day 2022 highway shooting and its aftermath represents one of the most significant prosecutions of an outlaw motorcycle club in Nevada history. The U.S. Department of Justice recognizes more than 300 outlaw motorcycle gangs operating across the United States. The leading gangs identified by federal authorities include the Hells Angels, Vagos, Mongols, Bandidos, Outlaws, Sons of Silence, Black Pistons, and Pagans. The Hells Angels, formed in San Bernardino, California in 1948, has grown to include at least 800 members in 92 chapters across 27 states, according to Department of Justice figures. The raid on the Hells Angels Clubhouse in June 2022 demonstrated law enforcement's commitment to breaking cycles of gang violence. By conducting such a visible, dramatic operation, police sent a message that gang violence wouldn't be tolerated in Las Vegas. The 7 defendants maintain their innocence and have pleaded not guilty to all charges. If convicted on all counts with gang enhancements, the defendants could face decades in prison. The attempted murder charges alone carry up to 40 years each. The case demonstrates the challenges law enforcement faces in prosecuting organized criminal groups. Gang enhancements require proving not just that individuals committed crimes, but that they did so as part of an ongoing criminal organization. The Nevada Supreme Court's December 2024 decision strengthens prosecutors' ability to use gang enhancements in future cases involving national motorcycle clubs with documented histories of criminal activity. For the victims shot on that Memorial Day weekend, justice remains pending. For the Las Vegas community, the case serves as a reminder that serious criminal activity can flourish beneath the surface of motorcycle culture. And for law enforcement, the raid on the Hells Angels Clubhouse represents one battle in an ongoing effort against organized criminal enterprises operating in American cities.